Hello, hello. I could say good morning, but it just turned noon, so now it's good afternoon, I guess. Welcome to Lunch with Leo. Thank you for coming in. If you're coming in live, if not, and you're catching the recording, and I hope that you get something out of this video as well. Today we're talking about um, it's the week of Thanksgiving, right? So obviously, we're going to talk about an attitude of gratitude. We're going to talk about why we should have it, how we can get it. And I know it's a difficult thing, especially if you're widowed, especially if you are freshly widowed. If this happens to be your first holiday season as a widow, then first of all, my heart goes out to you. I remember how that was. It's been several years for me, but I do remember how difficult that first holiday season was, especially as a widow. It's full of confusion. It's full of um, just not knowing how you're supposed to feel, what you're supposed to do, feeling lost, feeling like you don't have support, feeling like you might be lonely even if you're in a room full of people. And so I know that first holiday season as a widow is really tough. And so just know that you're not alone, even if you feel like you are. There are others out there who are going through it now with you, who have been through it before. And, there's places that you can go to get support. And one of those places is our Facebook group. I just want to encourage you to join that Facebook group if you are feeling like you need support, not just during the holidays, but just at any time. We have a really good Facebook group. It's called One Happy Widow. The link for it is below in the description that you can click on there. And I do have a new moderator. And so we are getting through applications and approvals much more quickly now than before. So I'm very thankful. Another thing to be thankful for. I'm thankful for that. So Sharon says, good afternoon, and everyone here. Thank you, Sharon, for joining. If you'd like to put in the chat where you're from or just give us a hello, that'd be great. So today, like I said, watching from the beginning, yay! Today, I want to talk about having an attitude of gratitude and how we can do that. And I have notes here. And at first, I thought, well, this is going to be a short one. And then I realized as I was making my notes that it might not be quite so short, but that's okay. You can always skip ahead. You can put me on fast talk and listen to me like a chipmunk if you need to. And just kind of pop in where you need to as well. So, but I have to look down a little bit so that I can not leave anything out. And also, I'm noticing, if you've watched me for a while, I've been talking about me growing my hair out. I'm growing the color out so you can see the gray coming in, but I'm also growing the length out, and it's finally starting to get long, but it's in that in-between phase. So it's looking a little mullet-like, as my students would have said. Actually, they did say before I quit my job. And so we're just dealing with the best that we can until it gets grown out a little bit. All right. So again, like I said, today is the Monday of Thanksgiving week. And so, everybody's talking about Thanksgiving. Everybody's talking about being grateful, being thankful, and making plans and figuring out who you're going to spend your Thanksgiving with and what you're going to eat. And, it's just filled with a time of a lot of busyness. And so rather than focusing on the busyness, rather than focusing on the grief, and rather than focusing on the pain and the loss, let's talk about how to focus our energy, our mental attention, and on the things that we can be thankful for and grateful for. And I know that's probably tough to do, especially when you're freshly widowed, because you're thinking, well, how am I supposed to be thankful when my husband's not here? How am I supposed to be grateful for being alone during the holidays? I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing. So it's very easy to mentally get into that what's the point attitude. And so I want to address that first, and I want to talk about how we can shift our mindset into a more positive direction. I want to give you some specific things that you can do. And also, this video will be a little bit more generalized. We are going to talk about it very specifically in our Surviving the Holidays group. So we have several people in that group that we're going to meet tonight, and I'm going to give them some specific actionable steps and some things that they can print out and write down, and some things specifically they can do to help get them through this week in this holiday season. But I'm going to talk about it in a more general sense, to the public who is watching this video or who's catching it in the recording, so that you can think about it and to maybe decide on some ways that you can shift your mindset and think about things maybe from a different way. Take that spotlight that you've got on your brain, take your brain spotlight, and instead of spotlighting and highlighting the grief part of your journey, we're going to try to focus on shifting that spotlight and shining it on some other things. Sharon says, this will be my very first without my husband, and I'm so scared as how I will handle it. I'm from Michigan. So Sharon, you're gonna today will be a good one, a good topic for you. And just know you're taking one day at a time, and that you decide to do whatever you need to do that works for you. And just because you do it this year doesn't mean it's a new routine that you have to do every year. So whatever it is that you decide to do that works for you this year is how you survive it. And then you take what worked and what didn't work, and you analyze that, and you decide later on how you incorporate new traditions, what old traditions you want to move forward with, if any, and then how you kind of mix those together to make traditions moving forward, and how you decide to spend your time. So, good afternoon, Jerica, also from Michigan. So, this is my second year. So, Jerica, you've probably got a little bit of the memories from last year, or maybe not. Sometimes we block those memories out when they're very traumatic, and we can't exactly remember what we did from year to year, and that's okay too. That's our brain's way of protecting us from some of that trauma. And Tim is back from North Carolina. Hello, Tim. Okay, so first of all, like I said, I want to talk about how a lot of times when someone says, well, we need to be thankful, we need to be grateful, and our minds instantly think, well, how the heck am I supposed to do that? Because the pain and the heaviness of this grief that I'm carrying is so heavy. The burden is so heavy. There's no way that the things, even if I do think of things that I can be grateful for, that I'm blessed by, there's no way that they can outweigh the grief and the heaviness, or the depression or the pain or the loss. There's no way that it can balance out or outweigh it. And that is probably true. I mean, there's probably not enough weight in the blessings and the things that we can be thankful for that can outweigh the pain of that grief. But that is not a reason not to do it. Okay. So my example to think about is, let's say I watch a lot of Georgia football. Okay, University of Georgia football. They're my team. They're the school I graduated from, and for the past several years, they've been pretty high on the rankings. We won the national championship twice in the last few years, and we're on track to maybe do it again this year at least. So we're doing really well. Last week, or this past weekend, we played a team, University of Massachusetts, and we didn't blow them out of the water as much as I thought we were going to. But the point is, the commentator was talking about how UMass has hosted as of now, three SEC teams. And they're doing it in order to make money. And so Georgia was their third team that they were hosting. And, they got the crap beat out of them all the other two games. And they pretty much got the crap beat out of them by Georgia. And, they were quite the underdog. No one was expecting them to win, and they didn't. And they got a lot of money, from playing the teams. But the point is, there's a lot of times in sporting events and in other situations, there's a big underdog, right? And nobody loves an underdog story more than me. And you watch these movies where they go worst to first and all that kind of stuff. Well, most of the time it doesn't really happen that way, right? Most of the time, the team that is the underdog, that's way down here on the rankings and not expected to win, most of the time they don't. But guess what? They still go out there and play the game, and the coach still expects from them their best effort. They're still going out there. They're giving it their all. They're giving it their best, even though they know they're probably going to lose, and they're probably going to lose big. But they have integrity. It's a way for them to build up mental strength, physical strength. It's a way for them to, just to have integrity and to go out and do it anyway, and not just take it laying down, not to go out there and forfeit because, well, there's no way we can win. So why are we even bother playing? Okay. So for the same reason, even though we know that the things that we focus on, that we have, that are our blessings, things that we're thankful for, probably will not outweigh the grief of losing the other half of your person, right? That your other person that you're sharing your whole life with. And I get that, but that's not a reason not to do it anyway. So we're going to do it anyway, even though we think, what's the point? Okay. There are points to it, but the point is not to make you forget about your grief. The point is not to get over your spouse or to forget that you're widowed. That's not the point. Okay. There's other points to it that are still very important. All right. So the biggest reason that it is good practice and good mental health. Okay. It's good for you. Right. It's a practice in focusing on positive mindset because that's something you need to incorporate in your life all the time, not just this week during our attitude of gratitude, not just during Thanksgiving, but all the time, every day. It's a good practice in that. It's a good practice in being intentional in your life and taking control of your life and not letting the circumstances of your life control you. Okay. Because the only person that's going to get you through this is you. Okay. Other people can help you. Other people can support you. Other people can give you the tools and present them for you. But it's just like when you have an illness and you go to the doctor. The doctor can give you the medicine or prescribe you the medicine. You can go to the store and you take the medicine and you put the medicine on the counter. But if you don't take the medicine's not going to work. Okay. So you have to do the work of getting yourself through it with the help of other people supporting you. All right. So I'm here to encourage you to give you the mindset, to give you put you in the right attitude so that you can think about why am I doing this and how is it going to help me at all? Because I promise it will. All right. And it's also it's a part of our growth. It's a part of this grief journey. It's a part of the way that we incorporate our grief from the loss of our spouse into our daily routines and our yearly traditions. It's the way we survive this, guys. It's the way that we are going to get through it. Okay. It's part of getting through it. All right. It also sets an example for those around us. So it's going to set an example for other widows that are around us so that we can, like what I'm doing. I'm not saying do what I do or I'm the perfect example, but I'm saying that I have some experience in it and I have gone through it enough times to at least share with you this worked for me. This absolutely did not work for me. And so I'm going to share those things with you so that you can say, well, I didn't think about trying this, but Leo said she tried XYZ and she said it worked for her. So maybe I'll try that and maybe it'll work for me. And what works for me doesn't always work for everybody else, but at least you can have somewhere that you can start and say, okay, she said that she tried, whatever it is that that I've been through or that I've done or that I've tried. And so I'll at least give it a try. At least it gives you something, a starting point to start with, because when we're going through it for the first time, we have no idea what the hell we're doing or where to start or what to do or what to even think about. So at least it gives you a starting point and maybe a checklist. I'm real big on checklists. Okay. I'm real good at writing them, maybe not so great at checking them all off, but I'm really good at creating checklists, sharing them with others. Okay. So that's what I'm planning on doing. All right. So again, like I said, in our holiday group, we're going to talk about specifics from the checklist, but in this video, I'm going to talk about more general stuff. All right. So I'm going to go back to the chat and just see if there's anything I need to catch up on. Bob is here from Hollywood, Florida, year 3. Tim says Ohio State this year. Okay. But look, y'all did us a favor. Okay. So, unless is that OU that you're talking about? Because didn't OU win some kind of a game that put us, who was it that they beat? Alabama? And put them out of the SEC consideration. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. I got to get back on here. Jerica said, last year I was good until the ride home. This year I'm going to the Lions game. My sweetie would be proud. Okay, so Jerica, you're making steps. You're making intentional steps forward for growth, and that's good. That's awesome. Detroit Lions. Okay, gotcha. Bob says we're still alive and we have to live it for them. Absolutely. Yes. And I've said this several times before in other videos that, in most cases, our spouses did not want to leave this earth. And I think I would venture to say even in the light of someone taking their life, a lot of times I don't think it's that they actually wanted to die. It's that They didn't want to live the way that they were living, and they were not able to see a positive outcome, and so they made a choice. But it wasn't that that's a choice that they wanted to make. They felt like they didn't have any other choice. But I'm generalizing, but the point is, for the most part, our spouses didn't want to die. I know I can say that for my spouse. For Dewey, he did not want to die. He would have given anything to live and see his kids grow up. And he got cancer, so I mean, that decision was made for him. And it wasn't from lifestyle choices. It wasn't from bad health choices. He was in the military, got exposed to toxic chemicals and burn pits and things like that. And that's I'm pretty positive that's what caused his cancer. But the point is, he didn't want to die. And so I was blessed with more life on this earth than he was. I was blessed with the days with our children that he didn't get to spend. And so I have to live and give my kids those experiences in life that he's not able to give them. And so I am living for not just me, but for him as well. And so to squander that would be not living up to his legacy in the way that I'm responsible to do. That's my opinion. Tim says, didn't Georgia get beat this year by underdog Alabama? Look, Tim, we're looking forward. Okay, we're going to look forward. We're not going to focus on past. Okay, we're going to look ahead. We're focusing on the forward. Okay, and that's what we're doing. We're doing an exercise in that. Okay, and all I know is that moving forward, all we have to do is beat Georgia Tech next week, and we will secure our spot in the SEC championship. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, and we don't even want to talk about underdogs. Alabama is more of an underdog every game. Okay, they're pretty much out of everything this year too. So that's what we can look forward to from Alabama. A lot of nothing. All right, Shell. Hello from UK. Hope everyone is doing okay. Thank you so much for joining in. All right, so we're talking about also this Sunday we went to church. Well, we go to church every Sunday, but the point is, a lot of times I'm listening to the lesson from our pastor, but I'm also thinking about ways, because he has so many good lessons. The Bible has so many good lessons. Like, even if you're not a Christian, you can still learn some stuff about lessons in there, right? And so a lot of the times the message that the pastor gives to us is applied to me. Like, I'm thinking, okay, that's perfect for me. But also I try to think about it in, how can I incorporate this lesson that he's trying to give us to my widowed community? Maybe not specifically from a Christian point of view, because the way that we should live as Christians are the way that just people should live in general. That's my opinion too. But there's just a lot of life lessons there. And so he gave us some really good stuff this week in the sermon. And so I want to share some of those ideas with you. And some of them are biblically based, and then some of them are just good life practices that I also want to share with you. And so a few little sayings that he gave us at the beginning of the sermon that I want to share with you too. They're little sayings that are kind of catchy, that are things that you can kind of remember and keep in your mind. But the first thing he said was, we should not be grumbly hateful. We should be humbly grateful. So that's just a cute little saying that I thought was just something to think about. Instead of complaining about things all the time, let's try to think about, the things that we should be thankful for. Also, he says that the Bible says, I don't know the scriptures that these came from because I did not write them down. I just wrote down the little notes. But the Bible says that when we are not grateful, our spirit is overwhelmed. And I think that is true, whether you're Christian or not. When you're not grateful, it means you're not focusing on the blessings in your life. You're not focusing on the good things in your life, the things that you should be thankful for. So you're focusing on your grief. You're focusing on how unlucky you are, how unfortunate you are, and that focusing on those things can make you feel overwhelmed with grief. And so that is, I think, a true statement in many cases. He also said that this was his little saying that he coined. Pastor Benny Tate, by the way. He says, gratitude that is not expressed is ingratitude. So in other words, if you're not expressing gratitude and thankfulness about the things that you should have thankfulness in your life, that your blessings in your life, then that's being ingrateful. And in this day and age, and I don't know how old y'all are, but most of us are middle-aged or older when we become widowed. We don't have a whole lot of very, very young widows in our life. And so I think y'all can all agree that we complain a lot about the Gen Z and the millennials, these generations that are younger than us, that they're so entitled. They're so entitled. They're so ungrateful. It's like they want to have everything handed to them. They think they deserve everything without having to get, and our kids are going through that. We complain about that a lot, but it's because they're not expressing gratitude. They're not taught to express gratitude and learn to be thankful for what they have. Instead, they're focusing so much on what they don't have and what they want and what other people should be doing for them. And it's putting them in a constant state of entitlement and being ungrateful. And I think my husband just got home from work, so he might be popping his head in here to say hello in just a moment. Um, we'll say hello to JP if he pops his head in here. And also one more little tidbit from the Bible, that he says that God does not say to be thankful for everything. He says to be grateful in everything. So in other words, to thank. Hold on one second. Hey, babe. he, he just popped his head in and blew me a kiss. Let me know he's home. Anyway, so God doesn't say be thankful for everything, because he says to be thankful for everything. So what am I supposed to be thankful that my husband died? No, that's not what he's saying. That's not what it says in the Bible. It says to be thankful in everything. So in other words, even when you're in your dark moments, be thankful for the things that you are blessed with, because God is with you and God is next to you and he's carrying you through. He's going to give you the strength that you have in order to get through whatever it is that we're going through at the time. All right. So here's the short lesson. Okay. That was just the things that I wanted to share from you from our sermon from this Sunday. But now I'm going back to here's the short lesson in attitude of gratitude. All right. Is that we need to express thanks. We need to express thanks to God, but we also need to express thanks to others. So instead of just being thankful for what others are doing for us, or what we have, or what we of things in our life, we need to express that thankfulness to other people. Okay, so that means we need to tell other people that we appreciate them for who they are in their lives, for what they've done for us in their lives, or for what they've brought to us in our lives, because that is going to enrich other people. And part of our reason for being here, it's not just what can this world give us and what can life do for us, but what can we do for others? How can we enrich the lives of others? Because that's probably the reason why we're still here, right? And so it's our job to be a blessing to others as best as we can. And also that will take the focus off of what's inside of here and all the pain and all the hurt that's inside of our heart. And we can't think about how much we're grieving when we are actively in the process of trying to be a blessing to other people. It's just impossible to have both of those feelings at the same time. Okay, so it's a chance for us to turn off the switch of grief and sadness, and to focus on trying to help other people that are also in dire straits, that are also in need of something. There's always people that are in need of something, and then not to expect anything in return. So instead of just going out there and saying, "Well, I'm going to do this for other people so that they'll do something for me," rather than it being that quid pro quo situation, just go out there and just be a blessing to others, just because they need it, not because we're going to get something back from them. Also, I think a lot of our issue in grief, especially when we meet people who are stuck in grief. Like, let's say we meet a widow who has lost their spouse years before, and they're still in that angry phase. They're still in that I'll never be happy again phase. They're still in that I'm stuck in grief and I don't know how to even think about being happy at all, because all I can focus on is my loss and my grief. I think the root of almost all of that is comparison. It's comparing. It's looking out towards everybody else around us and seeing what they have that we don't have. A lot of times I hear about widows that are like, I really can't take it when I go out and I see happily married couples. It's really hard for me to be happy for them when I don't have my spouse with me. It's hard for me to be happy to see, other happy couples. It's because we're comparing our pain to their happiness. Another thing is maybe we'll work with another married woman and she's complaining about her husband how he won't pick up his socks or something, and how she's complaining about he doesn't give her any attention because it's football season and he won't peel himself off the couch to watch TV, or, it's hunting season and he's out all the time and all that thing. And it's aggravating because we hear women complaining about how their husbands are aggravating to them or not paying attention to them. And we want to say, well, at least you have a husband to complain about. That's a common dilemma. So we're comparing, ourselves and our pain to their pain, and there is no comparison. We already know this, right? So then don't even try it. But I think the root of a lot of our grief that we get stuck in when we're in that pit of grief and we're having trouble like climbing our way out is because we spend a lot of time looking out at what other people have that we don't have, that we wish we had. But you know what? There's always going to be comparisons. Your life is not any is unique. Your life situation is unique and it's not like anybody else's. So you could spend time searching out there for what other people have it better than you. But guess what? Someone out there is looking at you and thinking that you have it better than them. Okay. There's always somebody out there that's got it worse than you. Okay. And I know you're thinking, well, well, yeah, well, how about all these people that are around me that have their spouses? Yeah, but there's people out there who've lost their children. There's people like I see a therapist and it's faith-based therapy. And I was going for pretty frequently every week or two for a while. I talked about that in one of my other videos. It's been about maybe like a year and a half. But now I'm on the what do you call that? The maintenance plan, I guess. I only have to get to see her like every couple months. But in the beginning, the reason why I was seeing her was because I had a lot of anxiety and I was feeling a lot of like I was worrying for um, for my children. Like I was worrying all the time about what if my kids don't make it, and what if my daughter gets addicted to drugs, and what if my other daughter kills herself, and what if my son doesn't graduate from high school, or I was worried about all these things for my kids, and so she had to work with me through not carrying the anxiety for my children, instead letting them worry about if they're going to finish high school or college, or or make it through this or that. And so it took me a long time, but the point is that the reason why I respect her advice to me a lot is she's not widowed. Well, okay. But she did share with me in the beginning when we first started seeing each other that she is a grief counselor specifically for grief because several years ago, her family, consisting of her son, her daughter in law, two of her sons, one of her daughters in law, and two of her grandchildren were on a plane. And I don't remember all the details. I just know that they were on a plane, all traveling, and they were all on the same plane, and the plane crashed. And in an instant, she lost two sons, two grandchildren, and a daughter in law at the same time. So, talk about complicated grief, compounded grief, massive amount of pain and loss of family members all at one time. And I think, okay, when I start to think about my loss, I start to think about I still have my parents, I still have all of my children. I have one sibling and I still have her. And and I think about like, yeah, I lost a huge, huge loss in my life. But there's always somebody out there who has it worse than me. That doesn't make my loss any better. And it doesn't make my loss okay. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that if I continue to focus on being jealous or comparing myself to what other people have that I wish I had or that I don't have, I'm going to get stuck in that comparison grief. Instead, I need to be thankful and remember that it can always be worse. Like there are always people out there who have it worse than me. There's other widows out there who feel the same type of pain that I do, but that didn't get left with any life insurance. And then maybe they didn't have a job and they have children that they have to raise, and they are not, and that maybe they not, on top of losing their husband, they also lost their home or their jobs or their livelihood. Or, I mean, just I think about those things and I think there's always a way to compare yourself to someone who doesn't have it as good as you do. And that's, that sounds weird to say when you've lost your spouse, but it's all, it's all in the comparison, right? You're in the middle somewhere. There's always people who have it better than you. There's always people who have it worse than you. So don't focus on all this, focus on everything. And then try not to make any comparisons anyway, because your situation is unique. So focus on you and what you have in your life still, rather than focus on what you lost in your life. And, it's not going to make it go away. It's not going to make the loss go away, but it is going to help you to focus your mental strength and your mental attention on the things that's going to help you grow and heal. All right. And then the last of the short lessons that I'm kind of going on about is give more, take less. Okay. And then skip the yeah, but, okay, because kids are great at this. Have you ever had, when you are raising your kids and they're teenagers and you're like, well, at least you have such and such and so and so. And they're like, yeah, but that'll never happen. Well, at least you've got another friend, their boyfriend broke up with them. Well, at least you got friends. Yeah, but I'll probably never have another boyfriend. It's a yeah, but this, yeah, but that, yeah, but this. One of my kids is really good at that. When things aren't going her way, it's like everything sucks and my life sucks and my life is terrible. I'm like, well, but you got this and you're doing a lot better than you were a year ago. Yeah, but this still sucks, and it's the yeah, but it's really hard to get past the yeah, but. And so try not to be the yeah, but person. Okay. Try to think of it in a different way. All right. So here are some of the benefits that you can get from focusing on those positive things, focusing on the things that you have and your blessings and the things that you should be thankful for, rather than focusing on your losses and all the things that are making your life so difficult to manage right now. Let me go back to the chat real quick, and then I'll go over to these benefits. Shell says, my husband always had a mantra when things weren't going great, and that was crack on. So I always remind myself of that when I'm feeling hard done by. It always makes me smile. Okay, crack on. So I kind of like keep on keeping on. So I like that. I like that. And Dewey's famous saying was always forward. He's like, we're always moving ahead. We're always moving forward, always forward. And actually it's on his headstone. It says always forward. And he would sign his emails that way. And that was kind of his motto too, always forward. So, and then my kids made a joke out of that because he is buried in the military cemetery. And so they bury them deep enough to where their spouse can be buried in the same plot as them, just on top. And I told my kids, I was like, yeah, daddy's buried here. And then I will be buried with him, like this. And what they do is on the back of the headstone, they put the information for the spouse. So on the front is his information, on the back will be mine. So the kids said, so daddy's headstone says always forward. And so I guess when they put yours on the back, what is it going to say? Always backwards? And I was like, well, you know what? Maybe I will. See if anybody, hundreds of years down the road says, hey, look at this. Look what we found. Look at the front of this says always forward. And the back of it says always behind or always backwards or something. I don't know. It'd be a little joke to keep going for the generations ahead. Jody says, doing things for others helps me to get off of myself, my own self. Yes. So instead of focusing on your pain and focusing on your grief and your loss, you're focusing on helping others to come out of their pain, loss, grief, and whatever it is that they're going through, right? Because there's always, why do you think that people do that during Thanksgiving? They reach out and they go to food banks and homeless shelters, and they spend time feeding the needy and feeding the hungry and giving, after Christmas, picking up all your things that you don't want and giving them and donating them to people in need. Because it makes you it makes you feel thankful and grateful for what you have, and the fact that you have enough extra energy, extra money, extra time, extra things, that you are able to give those extra things to other people who don't have it. It makes you feel thankful for what you have, right? So we should practice that as well. So some of the benefits that to focusing on, being grateful and having that attitude of gratitude is that it gives us balance. Just like I talked about in the beginning, if you have this grief, and yeah, the blessings that you have may not outweigh the grief, but at least balances it out instead of us focusing on only the grief all the time. So it does give us some balance and allows us to take a break from the burden of grief all the time, and to focus on some things. And it's hard to do that without feeling guilty in the beginning. Okay. That's always the issue in the beginning, is feeling guilty for feeling happy, or guilty for feeling thankful, or guilty for laughing or smiling or cracking a joke. But it's okay. It's okay to do it. It's hard to do it at first, but it is okay. It's what we're supposed to do. So it does give us balance from that burden of grief all the time. It also improves your health. It does. It keeps your blood pressure down. It keeps your breathing and your respiration down. It keeps your heart from working so hard. It strengthens your immune system. It's good for your mental health. And so mental health and physical health is intricately connected. And so um, when you work on your mental health, it will show up in your physical health. It also benefits others. We talked in length about that today, how it benefits others. It's going to help others, be a blessing to others so that they can have something to be thankful for. All right. And it combats the enemy. So if you're a Christian in any way, you know that that's the way the devil works, is that he's going to tell you, he's going to be that little voice in your head that says, yeah, but he's going to be the yeah, but guy. He's going to be like, yeah, but think about all that you've lost, and think about how lonely you're going to be at that party if you go, and think about how miserable you're going to be seeing everybody else laughing and you know that you're there by yourself. And so when we give in to that, thinking about focusing on the grief all the time, we're just giving him power. We're just giving him the power to control us and to keep us down. And we're just basically putting the weapons in his hand that he's going to use to try to destroy us. And let's not do that. All right. And so, and if you're having trouble thinking about, I cannot think of anything that I can be thankful for. Again, the one thing you can be thankful for is that you have days on this earth that your spouse didn't get. And so for nothing, if for no other reason, live those days out in honor of your spouse who did not get them, because you're doing them a disservice if you don't. So if for no other reason, you have days left on this earth, you have time left on this earth, you have life left to live that they didn't get. And so for if no other reason, do it for them. And did you know that you take approximately 23,000 breaths a day? So the fact that you're breathing in and out means you still have life. And like I said, you've got life that your spouse didn't get. So for every one of those 23,000 breaths that you're taking, be thankful and grateful that you have those, because not everybody does. All right. And then also remember that, like I said before, somebody always has it worse than you. All right. And so my simple exercise, I'm going to give specific exercises to my holiday group, but my simple exercise is for this week at least. Before you go to bed every night, think about 3 things that you're thankful for, that you're blessed by. Right before you go to bed, it's going to help you sleep better. And when you wake up in the morning, before you get out of bed, think about 3 things that you're thankful for and you're grateful for. It's going to get your mind put on the right track. It's going to get your mind focused in the positive direction, and it's going to help your day go better. Do it for a week, every night, every morning. Either think about it in your head or even write it down on a piece of paper. Write down 3 things you're thankful for right before you go to sleep and right when you wake up. Even if it's the same 3 things, it's okay. If it's 3 different things, it's okay too. But 3 things that you're thankful for. It's going to help you sleep better, rest better. It's going to help your day go better, because it's going to set you mentally on track in a positive direction for the day. All right. And so do those 3 things at night and 3 things in the morning. Do it for a week. And when we come back next week to lunch with Leo, I want you to report back and let me know if it was helpful at all. All right. And I'm going to give you a little bit of an example just from my own life, just to show you how different things could be, or how different my spotlight could be shining on different parts of my life. I'm going to use specific examples from my own life, so that you can see just an example of how I could choose to focus on some things in my life that are good versus bad. Um, I'll try not to go too much into it, but sometimes I go off on tangents. So if it gets too long, just turn it off and we'll see you next time. Okay. So I wrote some things down I wrote it on a piece of paper, and I wrote it in two columns, right? And so on the left column, I wrote the things that are negative, that are specifically negative in my life, like right now, like these days, actively. And then on the right, I listed some things that I'm positive, that I'm thankful for, some positive things in my life that I'm thankful for. And so, these are things that I could choose to focus on the list on the left, or I could choose to focus on the list on the right. The list isn't going to change. The list is still the list. The negative things are still the negative things, and the positive things are still the positive things. But the things I choose to focus on, and the place I choose to spotlight my attention on, is going to affect how my life goes, not just this week, but just in general. Okay. So it's practice, and this is just a practice in positive mindset. All right. So I'm going to give you this example. And the reason why I do this is because sometimes when I say, well, you should do this and you should do that, and you should think this way and you should think that way, sometimes I get comments on my YouTube videos that say, well, that's easy for you to say. You blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it's easy for me to say. It's not always easy for me to do, but trust me, I don't share everything, that's in my life that's negative, because I don't choose to spread all of my negative frustrations with everybody that's watching my videos, because the videos are not meant to be, well, this is me complaining about how crappy my life is so that you can feel sorry for me, because that's not the point. First of all, I don't want anybody to feel sorry for me. And second of all, who wants to sit around and listen to somebody who complains about how crappy their life is all the time? Like, you have enough in your own life. I'm sure, not just you specifically, but like everybody, right, has plenty that they can focus on that's negative. So why burden other people with all of my negative crap? But sometimes I will share some things with you just to let you know that my life is not always peaches and roses. I have plenty to complain about. But why should I focus on them? Right. And so, but sometimes knowing, just like when I shared that with my therapist, about the fact that she'd lost so many people in her family, like, I feel so bad for her. But she doesn't talk about it all the time. She doesn't hardly ever talk about it. That's why I don't know all the details. She just shared that with me to give me some insight on her as to where she's coming from, so that I had more respect for her advice, because I do know that she understands pain. She understands grief. She understands profound loss. So when she tells me, you need to think about this and you need to try to do this, I can respect her advice, because I know she's not just coming from some place of like, well, my life is perfect, but maybe you should try this. It's, you can take advice from a fellow widow or fellow widower a lot easier than you can from some young person who's, has not even ever experienced loss before. Right. And so, here's just some things that I quickly wrote down on my negative list that I could focus on, but I'm trying not to. I can't always do it all the time, but number one is the fact that I am widowed. And some people might even say, well, why do you call yourself a widow still when you're remarried? Because I still lost my husband, and getting remarried didn't bring him back to life. And my kids still lost their dad, and he's never coming back. And I'm still raising children who are grieving their dad and going through all of the losses, the things that he's missed that we will never see again. And so, yes, being remarried has helped with some of the loneliness, and it has helped combat some of those grief feelings that I have. Yes, it has helped, but it doesn't make me any less widowed. It doesn't make my widowed experience go away. Right. So yeah, I'm a widowed person. I'm estranged from my oldest child, and I don't talk about it a whole lot, because, some of it's her story to tell, and I'm not here to smear her all over the internet or whatever. But she has broken all contact with our family. Every person in our family, she has moved away to the other side of the country and has requested no contact and will not speak to any of us. She has, she's keeping her child from me. I have no contact with my only grandson. He's about to be 6 years old, and I haven't seen him in almost a year. And she will not allow me to see him or anybody else in our family. I'm also estranged from my dad for the most part. I'm not estranged in the same kind of way, but like I don't have a very good relationship with him because um, he's somewhat of a narcissist. And like I tried a few weekends ago to go to my grandma's house and see him. He was there. You know, they're always there after my grandpa died, and I hadn't seen him in 5 years. And you know, it was very strained. And I tried to just be on my best behavior and not start anything, but you know, my grandma asked me if I was voting, and I already told her I had already voted, and she asked me who I voted for, and that's all it took. I wasn't even talking to him, and he rained into me and he blasted me out for my voting choices, and like it was just a big mess. And you know, I didn't ask for it, and I got it anyway, which is the reason why I don't really speak to my dad hardly ever. I'm not making a lot of money because I quit my job. And so I gave up my teaching career and I retired, but I don't get a retirement check, right? And so I don't make any money from my teaching. I also got my I got my I got the VA to agree that Dewey's death was service related, but since I'm remarried, I don't get those widow's benefits from them, so I don't get any money from that. And so I'm not making much money. It's due to my choices. It's due to choices that I've made, you know, but it doesn't put any more money in my bank account. And so I've had to try to figure out, you know, how we can make it. And I'm not saying we're, you know, super broke or anything, but like, you know, we're struggling more than we used to for various reasons. But one of the biggest reasons because I quit my job. Um, we just got a tax bill from the IRS last week for $32,000 for some old taxes that had nothing to do with me. It was something from JP from previously to when we met, and it was stuff that it wasn't stuff that he knew about. It was stuff that is. He had an accountant that was dealing with all of his business stuff, and we found out after the fact that his accountant was dirty. His accountant was not doing things right, and he didn't know. And we don't deal with that accountant anymore, thank God. But a lot of those things that he did or didn't do are coming back on us, and now we have to remedy those things. And so that's something that we have to figure out how we're going to manage. My sales, on my new business that I'm trying to do are not great right now because the business is new and, economy kind of sucks right now. And so the sales that I'm trying to make on my side business are not quite covering what I was making as a teacher and may never. So, I got to figure out how do I increase those sales. COVID, I mean, I know you go back to that, but COVID basically killed my husband's business. It cut it in less than half. He was making a very good living as a milkman. Believe it or not, he was making a lot more money as a milkman than I was making as a teacher. And when COVID came, it cut his business in less than half, and he had to lay off his son, and he had to, make a lot of adjustments. And his business, the point is, it's been several years, but the point is his business has still never quite recovered from what happened during COVID. And so it's come back some, but it's not anywhere close to where it was before COVID was here. About a month ago or so, I had someone come to my door and tell me about some VA benefits that I was supposed to be getting on behalf of my daughter, and that I could not receive them anymore because they had done a background check on me. And because of my multiple felonies, I was not able to be the fiduciary for her account anymore. Spoiler alert, I don't have any felonies. I have 0 felonies. I have 0 criminal history at all. I've never been committed, I've never been convicted of any crimes. But yet someone stole my identity, or somehow my identity got mixed up with another person who was doing Social Security fraud and identity fraud, and stole my Social Security number and committed multiple felonies in Virginia when I lived in Virginia. And so somehow our histories got intertwined in a way, somebody I don't know. because she had an alias that was similar to one of my previous married names. And because of that, her criminal background got attached to my criminal background history or whatever. And so now I have multiple felonies on my on my background check that I have to figure out how to clean. So if I ever want to go back to teaching again, I have to clean that up. And if I ever want to get any more of the VA benefits, I also have to clean that up because it looks like I'm some kind of multiple convicted felon and I'm not. And that's something I had nothing to do with. It's just something that happened to me and now I have to figure out how to fix it. Um, I'm getting older and my body hurts a lot because I'm getting older and my health is not terrible, but like my joints hurt and my body hurts and I'm overweight and I'm having trouble losing weight and I'm, struggling to do those things. And I don't have health insurance because I quit my job. And so I'm having to figure out, how do I continue to take my ADHD medicine that I desperately need? And I have to pay out of pocket for that treatment and for the medicine. I don't take my thyroid medicine anymore because I cannot afford to see the doctor and be on consistent medicine and treatment. And so I'm having to deal with thyroid issues that are unmedicated. Um, I'm taking some weight loss medicine to try to combat the weight loss that I'm because of my thyroid issue, and I'm having to pay out of pocket for that because I don't have insurance. So there's some things going on like that. Um, I was talking about sometimes I read my YouTube comments that I make these videos on. I make these videos to try to help people. And a lot of times the comments that I get on some of the videos, most of them are very positive, but sometimes there's some really mean comments on there. And they have a right to their opinion. I put myself out there. So, I'm welcoming those, all comments to come in. Some of those comments, cut me deep. And over the years, I've learned how to, handle them, and they don't really personally bother me as much. But still, I'm like, wow, that was rough, guy, or girl, or lady, or whatever. Most of them come from people who are not widowed, but still, I still got to read them. And sometimes I think, well, if I hadn't put the video out there, I wouldn't have put myself available, to that kind of scrutiny. And so, and then y'all know if you've been on my video from last week that Momo. First of all, let me go back. Last week was Dewey's birthday on the 22nd. And that was on Friday. And he would have been 50. And if y'all follow my channel, like I said, you know that Momo had some kind of a party or celebration or whatever. That's his mom. And she had invited the kids to go. She had invited, but she only actually invited one daughter. And I guess she expected her to give the message to the other kids or whatever. Anyway, the point is, I had asked my youngest daughter if she wanted to go. And I was like, look, if you want to go see Momo at Daddy's grave on Friday for his 50th birthday, I will take you if you want me to. I don't really want to see Momo, but I would have taken her if she wanted to go. Now I asked them last Father's Day if they wanted to go for Father's Day to his gravesite. And at first they said yes, and then they ended up saying no, and they all ended up saying no. And I was like, well, if none of them want to go, then I'm not going to go by myself. And so I decided not to go. And, I've started to feel like maybe I should go because if you've watched my videos, I've only been there once. I've only been to his gravesite once in the 7 years that he's been gone. And sometimes I think maybe I should go because I'm not really, I feel like I don't need to or want to, but then I'm thinking, well, maybe if I go, I'll come back and think, I'm glad I did. I needed that. Or I'll come back and say, well, that did nothing for me. So now I know I don't ever want to go back again. I don't know. So I've been thinking about it. But the point is, that I had asked my youngest daughter, I was like, look, if you want to go, if Momo, if you want to see her, if you want to go to the gravesite or whatever. And she said, yeah, I might want to go because Momo usually will take me to go get my nails done or take me out to eat or something. And I was like, that's fine. If that's what you want to do, just let me know. Well, she never said anything. It was probably 2 weeks before it happened. She never came back and said, hey, I do want to go. Can you take me? On the other hand, I also never came back and followed up with her and said, hey, today's the day or tomorrow's the day. Did you want me to drive you or not? I did not follow up with it. Honestly, I feel like a bad widow because I did not even think about what day it was until later on in the day. And so I feel a little guilty about that. But anyway, the point is, she ended up not going. And not because of anything, but just it got overlooked and it never got followed up with or whatever. Braylon said she didn't want to go. And Carter said he didn't want to go. So none of, they just didn't want to. So anyway, later that day, she sends a video. Mama sends a video to Braylon. I don't know who took the video, but it was a video of her at the gravesite. Um, the way that her body was stumbling around and her slurred voice led me to believe that she might have been drinking, but I don't know for sure. She did have the cigarette that she never let go of the entire time. But anyway, she was talking to Dewey, his headstone, and talking to him with his little message, and the video was on there recording. And so we heard her conversation to her son, her dead son, and was just updating him on the kids and how great that Braylon was doing, being a manager at Starbucks, and how, she has no contact with Carter anymore, which is technically true, but the way she said it made it sound like that Carter no longer contacts her, which is absolutely the opposite. Carter tried and tried and tried to contact her, and she told him not to contact her anymore because he kept asking her about his motorcycle that his dad left him. And she gave it to somebody and won't tell us who, won't tell us what happened to it. So he's like, "Where's my motorcycle? Where's my motorcycle? Where's my motorcycle?" And she finally was like, she pretended like the phone belonged to somebody else. "I don't know who this is. This is a new number. Please don't contact this number anymore." So anyway, no more contact with Carter, but the way she said it made it sound like, he cut ties with her. Then her last comment to him, her son at his gravesite, as if he doesn't, like, as if she can fool him. "How are you going to lie to a gravestone, to a headstone?" She says, "Well, Dallas really wanted to come, but, Leo wouldn't let her. She wouldn't let her come. She wouldn't bring her," which is absolutely a lie. And so, and like you can tell the way I'm saying it, it bothers me when I talk about it. But I'm really trying hard for it not to bother me because, number one, I know it's a lie about me. But number two, I can't change. Like, I can't change how she feels about me. I can't change what she says about me. And the fact is, she's lying to somebody who, who's not alive. And so if he can hear her from heaven, he knows she's lying. Like, she's not fooling anybody. So, but oh, bless her heart. I know that she's only got one child and she's lost him. And so I don't know what it's like to lose a child, but I do know that she's taken a lot of her frustration and grief and anger out on me. And, I can't control that. I can't control how she feels about me. I can't control what she says and does and how she thinks and how she treats other people or whatever. I could focus on it, but I'm trying not to. So anyway, there's my negative choices list. Like, there's my things that I could really focus on right now that sometimes they do take my attention, and I really have to try mentally not to focus on all those things in my life. So trust me when I say I got plenty that I could complain about. I got plenty of things that cause me to struggle. But if I think about them all the time, I'll be miserable all the time. And then the grief wins. It's not just the grief that can push me down. It's all these other things that when I'm focusing on the negative things, then the grief starts to creep in and it just kind of flavors everything with a grief flavoring, and that makes everything just worse. Right. So, I try to focus on it long enough to deal with it if I have to. And then after that, try not to give it any more mental attention. And instead, I made a small list, a very small, but profound, simple list of the things that I'm thankful for. And so there's 5 things on my list that I'm thankful for that I'm going to focus on this week and really just try to focus on a daily basis. And the number one thing that I'm thankful for is that I'm a saved child of God. And so I know where I'm going. I know that my spirit is saved, and I know that my soul is saved, and I know that I'm going to be in heaven when I die. And I know that means I'm going to see Dewey again at some point. And so I'm thankful, that all my sins have been absolved, and that Jesus took on that burden for me. And so I know where I'm going. Number 2, I'm thankful for my country and my freedom. We just had an election recently. It did not go the way that a lot of people wanted it to go. But I still think I live in the greatest country on earth, and I have the freedom to say the things that I want to say and to express my opinion for the most part. There's still some people that are trying to, that are trying to take away our freedom of speech. But for the most part, we still technically have freedom of speech. And, I have the freedom to have this YouTube channel, and I have the freedom to go out and explore capitalism and try to make money for myself and undo some of the things that are causing me issues. I'm thankful for my family. So I still have contact. I might not have contact with my oldest child, but there's still a chance because she's still alive. And so one day, she might come back and decide she wants to rekindle a relationship, and I'll be open to that. I have 3 other children that I'm thankful for that are, for the most part, are thriving. They are grieving their dad, yeah, but they're in so much better of a place now than they were before. And I still have a relationship with them, and I will see all 3 of them at Thanksgiving. And I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for my husband. I'm thankful for my sister and my mom, and my extended family that I still have and I still can spend time with. I'm thankful for my comforts. I live in a third world country that I live in a climate controlled house. When I get cold, I can turn the heat on. When I get hot, I can turn the air on. I have a roof over my head that doesn't leak. So when it rains, I stay dry. And when the wind blows, I stay protected. And so, I'm not living outside in a tent somewhere in the woods somewhere. I have clothes that are comfortable. I have a blanket that I sleep in. I have a very comfortable bed that I sleep in. Like, I have all the creature comforts plus some. I have food available to me to eat whenever I'm hungry. I have snacks available to me that I can either eat from the house, or I can go buy, or I can order it online and have it delivered right to my door. So I don't struggle with creature comforts. I have clothes, I have food and water, I have shelter, I have the creature comforts plus, I have this avenue here that I'm able to help other people by sharing my experiences. And I do get, on top of the bad comments that I get on YouTube, I get multiples and multiples and multiples of good comments back from people that say, I like watching your YouTube videos. They help me to feel not so alone. They help me to understand my grief. They help me when I'm in a bad place. They help me to, think about things in a different way, or just things like that. So I'm able to reach people all over the world who are going through grief like I am, and to hopefully make a positive influence on them. And not for my own benefit, to pat myself on the back and say, yeah, I'm helping everybody, but to know that somebody who was hurting is maybe not hurting so much because of something that I said, maybe that helped them think about things that in a different way, or that helped them have the strength, the motivation, the hope, to want to live life in honor of their spouse, where maybe they didn't think about it in that way before. And then number 5 is I'm thankful for my job. So I might have given up my job as a teacher because I burned out, and for many, many reasons why. But I do have a job now where it's not making a lot of money right now, but I am my own boss. I set my own schedule, and that's a lot of stress, and it's a lot of responsibility, but I get to decide. I get to decide what to sell, what to buy. I get to decide what services to provide to people. I get to decide how to set up my business online, and how I'm going to help people, and how I'm going to be compensated for that. And I can't control what people buy. I can't make them buy things from me, but at least I have the option to offer the things to the people. And most of all, the people that I'm teaching, if you want to call it that, like, I still see myself as a teacher. I might not be a middle school or high school math teacher or a special ed teacher who's providing specialized services to kids who have disabilities, but I still see myself as a teacher because I'm helping people to learn things that they didn't know before, or at least to see things in a way that they didn't see it before. But now I'm teaching people that want to learn. I'm teaching people who are willing to learn. I'm teaching people who are thankful for the lessons that they are getting. And that is so much better than trying to force quadratic formula down the throats of ninth grade students who don't want to learn it. And so I still get to teach, but this time I get to teach the willing, and the people who are here because they want to be. And if they don't want to be, they can always leave. They're not here because they have to be. And so I'm thankful for that too. So that's my very short list, but it's large in multitude. Like, it's 5 simple things, but within those 5 simple things, there's so much wrapped up in it that I could go on and on. But I'm sure you get the idea by now. All right. So if you're watching this live, or if you're watching this in a rerun, in a recorded, um, what's your homework assignment? Okay, I'm going to simplify it. Right. 3 things that you're thankful for before you go to bed. 3 things that you're thankful for before you get out of bed in the morning, and see if that helps you. Okay. Put that spotlight on the positive things. Make a list like I did. Make a negative and a positive list, and then decide to focus on the things on the right side, the positive side, and try to not worry about the things on the left side. And when I say don't worry about it, it doesn't mean it's going to go away. Like, oh, don't think about it. I'm just saying, like, ask yourself this question. When something comes up that's on the negative side, and do this for my husband a lot, is I ask him, is there anything that you can do about it right now? If the answer is yes, then do it. Like, is there a phone call that you can make that will make this so and so? Like, if let's say your phone bill is overdue, can you make a phone call to the phone company and work out a payment plan with them so that you can something that you can afford to keep your phone from getting cut off? If so, make that phone call. If there's not anything that you can do about it, then put that off to the side and don't think about it right now. If there's not anything that you can actionably do to make it better right this minute, then put the thought of it away and think about something else for a while until you have the mental strength and you're prepared to focus on it and do something about it. And if it's something you can never do anything about, I mean, then you're going to have to accept that you can't do anything about it. Yeah, you could worry about it or you can not worry about it. But if you can't change it, then you're wasting your energy. That's what my therapist would say. She's like, you're worried about things that might happen down the road that, like, what if they never happen? Then you worried about it for nothing. And even if it does happen, worry about it then when it happens, not now about when it might happen. So if there's something you can do about it, do it. If there's not anything you can do about it, then forget it for now and try to focus on something else. Okay. I know it sounds simple, but give it a try. All right. And so this is just a first of many exercises that we are going to do that is part of my pivot course, by the way. Okay. There's lots of exercises, specific things that I run you through in the pivot course. www.griefpivotcourse.com, by the way. It's in the description below. That it's 28 different exercises and lessons, specifically takes you through how to get yourself out of that grief pit and climb out of that hole so that you can get back to where you need to be and focus on living your life in honor of your spouse so that they will be proud. All right. So let me go back. There's a couple more chats and then I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Julia says, hello from Washington. Julia, are you the same Julia that just joined our group recently? If so, welcome. And we'll at 7:00 Eastern time, we'll have our Zoom. So I look forward to meeting you in person on that one. And Tim says, I value your insight because you've been down a similar path. Yeah, it's easier to listen to somebody who's been through a little bit of what you've been through than somebody who has not ever. And you're like, what do you know? Like, they might have good advice, but you don't want to listen to it because they might not know what they're talking about. They might just be reading something from a book or something. And so, yeah, it's a lot easier to take advice from someone who's been in the same kind of situation that you have. That's why military people, when Dewey was alive and he's like, he had these officers, or these NCOs above him who had been through the ranks and had, gotten up through the ranks by experience plus education. He had a lot more respect for those guys than somebody who had gotten out of high school, went to West Point College or whatever and gotten some military degree and then came in as an officer and was telling him what to do, but had never done the things that he had done, like didn't have any military experience. They just had education. He's like, well, I'm going to listen to this guy. He has no idea what he's freaking talking about. He's never done what I've done. He's never been into combat. He's never been, through the trainings that I've been through. So, but, the ranking says he has to listen to him, but he doesn't really have any respect for him because he's like, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. So same thing that I had a lot of trouble as I was going through my teaching career, because the older I got and the more experience that I had, my administrators, my bosses were getting younger and younger. And so I found myself having assistant principals and department chairs and bosses and supervisors over me and principals who were younger than I was, who had less teaching experience than I did, and maybe hadn't even been in the classroom for the last 5 years, and so had not been through teaching through COVID, and I'm like, and they're telling me how I'm supposed to run my class. They're telling me how I'm supposed to teach. And I'm thinking, "You don't know what you're talking about." Like, when was the last time you set foot in a classroom? You don't know. And so there's a lot of animosity there when somebody's telling you what to do or telling you how to think or telling you how to feel, heaven forbid, and they've never felt it before. They've never been through it before. They've never experienced it before. Why would you want to listen to somebody like that? Some people don't want to listen to me because I'm too far down the road or because I am remarried. And so maybe they're like, you don't know what you're talking about because you have a husband again. And so you don't know how lonely it is. And they're right. I don't know how lonely it is after this point. I mean, I've been lonely. I was lonely. I was widowed, but yeah, I don't live it on a day-to-day basis, but I have been there and I do remember what it's like. I have experienced it. So, I do have some credibility. And if it's not enough credibility for you, then, there's lots of other channels out there that might be better suited for you. There's a lot of widowed channels out there. There's some new ones that I've seen popping up, and I don't watch them all because I just don't have time. And I'm more in the dispensing than I am of the partaking because I did all the partaking in the early days of grief. And so, there's only so many hours in the day, but there's a new one. There's a new YouTube channel. I don't know if it's new. I just recently discovered it. I think it's called Brave Widow, or Brave New Widow, or Brave Widow, something like that. But she seems to be kind of similar to mine from what little I've watched of hers, and hers seem to be really good. She does a lot of interviews. She seems to be pretty down to earth, and I think her style is similar to mine. So anyway, she might be somebody to check out. Anyway, I thought about reaching out to her, maybe do an interview with her. So if you follow her channel, let her know that we might want to get together, like, and and do like a collaboration or something. Anyway, all right, it's over my hour time limit, so I'm gonna wrap it up. If you are in our holiday survival group, we'll be meeting tonight for our exercise together, and we'll be talking about some things that we're going to do this week to get through the week. And next week, I'm not sure what we'll talk about on Lunch with Leo, but before next Monday, I'll have a new topic. So I'll see you back there at 12 o'clock next week. If not, be sure to subscribe if this isn't helpful to you at all. Click that notification bell so you'll always be notified when there's a new video. But at this point, it's always Monday at noon, so that way you won't miss it. And if there's any other topics that you want me to talk about, that you want me to address, feel free to reach out and let me know. So that'll give me some ideas. Otherwise, happy Thanksgiving to all of you. If you're going through it for the first time, just know that my thoughts will be with you. My prayers will be with you. And whatever it is that you decide to do, whatever's best for you. If you want to spend time with family, do it. If you want to stay by yourself, if you must stay by yourself because you just feel like it will be too much for you, then stay by yourself. Just be respectful. Say, look, I appreciate I appreciate your invitation, but I just don't think I can handle it yet. Maybe next time. And so, however you have to get through this holiday, do it as long as you're not hurting yourself or hurting others. And whatever else it is that you decide to do that's best for you, then that's what you do. And if you can't do it this year, then maybe you can do it next year. If you can't do it at Thanksgiving, maybe you can do it at Christmas. If you can't do it at Christmas, maybe New Year's, maybe not at all this year, and maybe just next year. So take it one day at a time and do what's best for you. And don't take on more than you think you can handle. But take on something, challenge yourself a little. If you're not getting out of the house at all, then challenge yourself by just, excuse me, getting up and getting outside and taking a walk. If you can't handle being Thanksgiving dinner, maybe get up and send a dish. Get up and say, well, I can cook my famous macaroni and cheese, and maybe somebody can come get it, and I can send my meal to someone and ask them to bring you back a plate. If you can't do Thanksgiving with the whole family, ask your close family member to maybe spend Friday with you at lunch, just a meal. Maybe just have your kids there, and let's just do after Thanksgiving lunch while everybody else is trying to get rid of Black Friday or whatever. So anyway, think about it. If you got some ideas, let me know. Reach out on our Facebook group if you need to. And I'm sure our members have lots and lots of great ideas there too. All right. So let's see. Tim says, you're not someone with a degree that never experienced it and just wrote a book or did a video. I have a degree, but not in grief. And I haven't written a book, but I will. That's on my bucket list. So I am going to write a book. Then I can say yes to all of it. Right? Karen says, you should talk to Emily. I just joined her program. She's great. Is Emily the one that's the Brave Widow person? I'm not sure of her name. She seems to be very, like I said, I haven't watched like a whole lot of her stuff, but it's been popping up a lot in my feed, and she seems to be really, you know, what's the word? I mean, I'm impressed with the way she speaks and the way she talks and the things she discusses, the topics of her videos and stuff like that. So I think she would probably be a good one. Happy Thanksgiving to you all. God bless. Karen says, my kids and I are going to our favorite pizza place. They're turkey haters, but they're having a buffet too. We're turkey haters too. I usually like to get, brisket and barbecue chicken from Sonny's. But we're going to my stepdaughter's house because she bought a house this year. And so she wants to host Thanksgiving at her house. And I'm like, heck yes. That means I don't have to cook. I don't have to clean, and I don't have to host everybody. And so here's Jelly Bean. Come here. She wants to say hello. Come here, Jelly Bean. There she is. Happy Thanksgiving. I'm thankful for you too. Yes, yes. All right. She says it's time to turn it off, Mom. Or actually, I'm Mimi. I'm not her mom. I'm her grandma. Yeah, we're going to my stepdaughter's house, and we have to take the ham. She's making turkey, but we're taking the ham and some dessert. Oh, she just drank, so her beard is wet. Gross, gross. All right, go. She is a mess. She's got makeup all over her back because she got into some makeup and sat in some blush or something. Anyway, genius idea: pizza and turkey. Turkey on pizza. Turkey pepperoni on pizza. It's a way to get your turkey. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to end this, and I will talk to you next week. JP says, see ya. He's waiting on me, I think. All right. That's okay. We'll see you next time. Bye. And